Aces Up podcast episode 33 is live. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joe Carlton, and I'm here with my guest, co-host of the Dynasty Warzone. You know him as the man of the hour and the man with the power, Mr. Jerry Sinclair. How we doing on this fine Tuesday in April, Jerry?
So here's the problem with me. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I am wonderful and I love talking football. I also have a little surprise for you that I'm going to get on at the end. But I mentioned it before we hit record. I went to Michigan State. I am a diehard Michigan State fan, and the University of Michigan won their second national championship in the last 3 years. So this is my sports 9/11. If you want, I had an old coworker call me today, and he did nothing but talk shit for 10 straight minutes. And eventually I had to say, I love you, buddy. I'm hanging up on you. Like, I cannot hear you talk about this anymore. So beyond that, I am absolutely wonderful. We are creeping towards the NFL draft. We are creeping towards dynasty rookie drafts, which is absolutely the most wonderful, delicious time of the year. But a little surprise for you, because, I have seen your stuff and I saw your background. You got a little bit of the poker stars. Yeah, buddy. Company
Nice.
man.
Nice.
I've had this shirt for
like
like 20 years. I had to
Me
bust it
too.
out.
That too. Yeah, I won that on the super website back in the day when it was legit. Online poker was legit. I miss it.
Listen, that's the good thing is, you want to talk about my background and sort of, I'm going to just segue right into it because it sort of leads into it. I live in Iowa right now, which I want you to envision what Iowa looks like in your brain. And I'm guessing you're imagining just fields of corn, and you are not even close to the amount of actual corn that there is. This is a flat, hellish landscape. Born and raised in Metro Detroit, cannot wait to get back. And in 6 short weeks, my wife will be graduating from vet school. I can be back, and Poker Stars is legal there, so I will absolutely be having a majestic time. Or I'll go broke. Either way. But I'm going to have a great time. Wife might be upset.
Nice. I like that. That means you enter a poker tournament and you start doing good, and then like 4.5 hours in, you go, what am I doing? Why am I still playing? Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah. You lose sleep. You call out sick work, from work the next day. That's great. But I think you mentioned to me in the DMs that you were currently unemployed, though. So that's a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It was chosen. It was chosen for me. So it's the first time since I was like 15 years old that I've been unemployed.
Nice.
So yeah, just sort of enjoying that for the next couple of weeks until we move back.
Yeah, I had a little stint with that in between companies. I took about 4 to 6 weeks off and kind of just like regrouped. It's a nice little mental vacation for sure.
Yeah, I've played a lot of video games. Unfortunately, I've also had to do lots of chores because I'm the only one that's here, so that's sort of inevitable. But when you have all of the time in the world, it's fine.
Nice. So you are the only person that I've ever spoken to, met, or even associated with, we'll say, that is from Iowa. So that's a pretty cool little check mark. I mean, you are a Michigan dude, obviously, and you're moving back. So I do got to say this. I hate to say it because you're already upset about it, but I'll throw another jab. Just because I grew up in the heart of the Fab Five era, I happen to always have liked Michigan. So it was kind of happy for me to see them win as well.
I see the Patriots pin it too. So I'm guessing you're a big fan of Mr. Tom Brady, who is another man that I cannot get behind because he has brought me nothing but agony throughout my childhood.
Nice. I will say this, for about the first 3 weeks, I argued that Drew Bledsoe got screwed, and what the hell are we doing here? For about 3 weeks.
Yeah. and then you forgot that argument for a couple of decades.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. All right. So, what do you do for hobbies outside of fantasy football? Anything else?
I mean, I like playing video games. I'm a
Yep.
Apex Legends college football guy. I've always just played like one shooter. I don't know what it is. I was a big Halo kid back in the day. Even though I'm creeping towards 40, and listen, anybody who is younger who is out there and they play video games and they go, "Oh my God, this guy's 37 years old and he's still playing video games." You know what? F you. Because you know what? That's when we need it, man. That's when we got life is beating us down. We need a damn hour to just shoot something, even if we're terrible. Because I am not good at it. But I love that. I just sports, poker, video games. I don't know. I'm a child. I'm 37 years old in reality, but I'm 17 years old in my head.
Nice. I
I was
love
more of a
that.
perfect dark guy, Jamie. To just respond to Jamie in the chat,
I
who said
I was gonna
007
say,
Golden Knight. I
yeah,
was a perfect dark guy.
GoldenEye. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I remember that on the N64. That was a great game. All right, so yeah, absolutely, video games. Um, Fantasy football. When did you start playing? What year? How old were you? What got you hooked? Give,
You
give
know,
us the details. Your draft? Did you win?
no, God, no, hell no. um, I was sort of a late bloomer. I didn't really. I remembered when my friends were playing fantasy football when we were in high school, but I was mostly so tied up in Michigan State football and basketball that was all I really cared about. I didn't watch the Lions a ton because they were the worst franchise in all of professional sports. So I wasn't a huge NFL fan. Eventually that sort of changed. Some guys at work would have been 2006, and I know it was 2006 because my first pick was LaDainian Tomlinson. That was the year he broke the rushing touchdown record, and I drafted him, and I thought I was the smartest man in the world. He had a bad week 3, I believe it was. I traded him. I had never made a trade in fantasy football. I traded away LaDainian Tomlinson, and then he proceeded to just have the most historic season in the history of fantasy football. The person I traded it to him, he won the league. I did not. Um, so yeah, that was disappointing. And then I started playing Dynasty. It would have been 2011. So I've been in the game almost 15 years. Oh no, 15 years. Um, my first pick in the startup was Andrew Luck. I took him second pick overall. It was a solid pick. My first rookie draft ever. That next year would have been whatever. God, 2012. I don't remember who I would have picked then. But I remember I have made a lot of terrible picks in my time. I will let you know, Joe. I've got a
Yeah.
whole lot of Caleb Johnsons and Hakeem Butlers and Corey Coleman's and you name it. For every Terry McLaurin and Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua late round pick that I've got about 6 or 7 that I just absolutely lit on fire.
Don't you just love the following year? Like right around this time, you look back at your last year's rookie draft and the year before, and you go, "What the hell was I doing? And how
Yeah.
did I miss this?" And you're like, "Damn, this guy got him way over there," and you're just like, "So I get it." I just started playing Dynasty 3 years ago, so I'm just getting the grasp of it now. I won my first title
Let's go.
this year, yeah, with no quarterback. It was great. I did it with Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Mac Jones.
Oh
I
yeah,
did
you were piecing it together with shoestring and bubble gum.
and I put Jamar Chase in my super flex. and I think
I mean, hey, solid.
it's not 40 points, 30 to 40 point sailing like a quarterback, a real good quarterback, but it is, and I got it done. So I was happy about that. And I feel like I've progressed in the 3 years. So I'm gonna stick with it. And I only have 2 teams.
Okay.
Yeah, I have
No,
2 teams.
I got a follow-up question. So when
Yeah.
so you're not new, but relatively new. Did it consume you immediately?
No, because I've been playing fantasy football since 1998.
Oh,
Just
good
just
God.
dyn just Dynasty 3 years.
Gotcha.
It took me a long time to I you know when I wanted to master what I was doing first before I I guess I didn't want it to take away from my prep for what I do for the redraft high stakes leagues. You know what I mean?
Fair.
But
You know, I was relatively new, so I just tried to jump in every league that I could. I played Devy leagues and campus to Canton leagues and stuff, and I realized, a few years later that they were not my style. Like, I have one Devy league that I still play in because I've played in it for so long. But at one point, I think it was like anytime anyone would ask me to join a league, I was in because I just wanted to try all the different, just wild variations of stuff that people had. Not anymore. Now I'm like an old man who yells at clouds. Like, I want my super flex, my tight end premium. Let's just keep it right there. I don't need anything cute anymore.
Right. I love the league that we have, that Dynasty League. I absolutely love that format. The 3 flex, must start 2 tight ends, super flex. That is an awesome format. No kickers, no defenses, just straight.
The problem with that league is I have just been awful in it since the beginning. Like, we did the startup. And I was trying this thing with a giant chunk of my leagues where I wanted to punt 1 year and see if I could, suck for a year, get all the picks, and then win in year 2. So I tried it with probably 7 or 8 of my leagues. Every year that I started, or every league that I started that year, I did that same exact strategy. In hindsight, horrible strategy. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not, it can work. Don't get me wrong. But our friend that was in that league, Paul Dent, he's Diddy in that league. He did the same strategy, and he did it better than me. And he got second that second year, and I think he's won it since then. And I've just been trying to like piece it together as best I can. And I have just done a horrible job. And I've got a couple first round picks, so I'm trending upward, but it's just been such an uphill battle.
I got to ask you, though, because when I looked at when we did that dispersal last year, that 16 dispersal, that's how I got in the league. I took over, I believe it was Theo Kreminger's team, right?
Yep.
And we did that dispersal. I was wondering why you didn't jump in that, because I feel like, I looked at your team. Like you said, it's not the greatest.
No, it's dog shit. You can say it's dog shit. But the problem is I put it in that situation, Joe. And so I don't want to do a dispersal. You are inheriting a team. You deserve to do that. I don't. I put my team in that situation. I want to pull myself out of it. And so that's why I stuck with my guns. And as long as it takes, I will throw that $150 away until eventually I get a little bit of glory. And when that glory comes, I am going to be relentless, especially to Diddy, because he's been talking a whole bunch of stuff. And he's a Michigan fan, so he's really been talking a bunch of stuff.
Nice. Awesome. That's good. I just got a little history on our league. So it's been going for about 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Great and nice. That's awesome. Glad to be a part of it. It's definitely the most fun one that I'm in. The other one is good too. It was my first one. It was a startup, but that's another one. But I had a third one. I took over an orphan, and I just now finally gave up after 2 years because it wasn't my mess to begin with, and I thought I could make it work, and made a couple of trades that really were just washes. I didn't really gain anything from it, and then a couple of it wasn't heading in the right direction. So I said I'm done with this one. If I do another one on the FFPC, I'll just do a startup. Fair.
Yeah. See, so you got the funds to back you. I am now unemployed. But, about to be living off my veterinarian wife, bless her sweetheart. But no, that league I'm going to be donating money for a couple of more years, but I have already embraced that.
Nice. All right. So tell us when you decided to become part of the fantasy football industry, creating content, doing the show with Randy, Dynasty Warzone. Talk us through some of that.
All right. So early on, like I just joined on Twitter because I wanted to know everything I could about Dynasty. None of my friends played it. I didn't know anything about it. I knew it existed. I didn't really know much about it. I didn't know how people were good. I didn't know any of that. And so I just got on Twitter, and those, probably 2016, 2017, it was a lot of the bigger names that are on Twitter now that are reputable. They were just coming into the space and they were doing awesome stuff. And, the Theo Grimingers and stuff that you mentioned and everything. And they helped me get better. And I'm a historian by education. So I like writing, I like reading, I like researching, I like all that. And I also like sports. So I started just writing for some website. It was just this little podunk website that is long gone now. And eventually I found out, I started listening to the Dynasty Warzone back when it was the original 3 members. And one of those guys was from a town that was like 15 miles from me. And I had no idea until eventually one day he said where he was, like the region. And I messaged him. I was like, are you near Brighton, Michigan? And he was. And we just sort of kicked it off from there. And then I never really did any podcasts. Didn't ever think I was going to, because in truth, it's sort of scary to do this. I mean, I've done it a lot, don't get me wrong, but I still get nervous.
I agree.
And anyway, some of the guys on that original Dynasty Warzone podcast, they didn't want to do it anymore. And Randy jumped on, and it was Randy and one of the original hosts for a while. And the other guy left. And Randy, I had joined their website and I did some writing for him and did like some mock drafts. And he's like, hey, do you want to jump on this podcast? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, sure, cool. Boom, we do our show. I still have it saved to this day. It was awful. I mean, Randy, he did a great job, but I was a bumbling idiot. I listened to it a couple months ago, actually. But, and then he DM'd me and he's like, hey, I'm going to need a regular co-host. Like, would you like to do this? And I was like, brother, I had been a loyal Dynasty Warzone listener up until that point, like from the episode 3s when I started, and they were probably at I think my first one was episode 79. So I was like, oh, brother. I was like, I don't have a microphone. I don't know what I got to do. And I was like, but I will make it work. I will be there. And then we did the show for 8 years. He never missed a week. I missed a couple of weeks because I'm a slacker, but that dude, he was just meticulous. And if anybody ever consumed any content by Randy, we always had our back and forth where it was like, I don't read the show sheet and I don't prep and I show up late. And guess what you found out today? You found out that I show up late. I did read a little bit of the show sheet, but I like to be, just off the cup and not pretend. He did everything. And he would always be like, hey, let's try this. Let's do this. After the show, we'd talk for another 45 minutes. It was an awesome experience. He's, I still regularly talk to his wife and his son. He will always be in my heart. I will love that man until the day that I die. I will have a soft spot in my heart for the Indianapolis Colts unless they ever beat the Detroit Lions, just because he was a Colts fan. He also taught me a lot about this game, because I sometimes suck into the echo chamber, and I'm sorry, Joe, that I'm just rambling now, but you got me talking about
this is the good stuff.
Okay,
I want to hear.
You got me talking about Randy, so this is what's got to happen. I get sucked into the echo chamber a little bit, and when it becomes popular to hate on somebody, I get pulled into that a little bit. And Randy was always the guy that was going after Justin Herbert when, his rookie draft, Justin Herbert was QB3, QB4. Daniel Jones, people didn't like Daniel Jones. Drake May was QB3 in his class, and Randy was always going after every poop-ass quarterback who I thought. And eventually I just realized I have to stop being stubborn. I have to just consume and just listen to this dude, because he was a pain in my ass. Don't get me wrong. We argued, mom and dad argued for sure. And we texted back and forth arguing, but Just
Mm.
an amazing dude. And he'd set up all the guests we did. He set up, all the shows that we went on. I remember one time we did the Aussie guys, and he's like, I need you to be up at 5 a.m. on this Tuesday because we're going to do a show with AJ and G, which were the hosts of the Aussie guys. And I was like I'm probably like 28 at the time. Like I work a shitty job. Like I stay up until 5 a.m. Like I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. That dude called me until I woke up, and I go on the show. I got like a coffee, and I'm like, just don't talk for the first 5 minutes. Like you just do what you got to do. But that's just how committed he was, and that's how awesome that dude was.
Nice. Yeah, he was such a good podcaster. You guys had an awesome show. You brought entertainment. It was, you learned a shitload, and like you said, he was meticulous, and you could hear it. And he was the way he backed up his arguments, man. He did it with conviction, and he gave it to you straight, honest opinion, straight, and just how he saw it, man. So. I love you guys had an awesome show. I was a listener for last 3 or 4 years probably. One of my favorite things actually from your show is the good people bad tweets. So I mentioned to you, if you could dig one up. You said you didn't get one, but I have a good one that I want to talk about.
Okay, yeah, we got good tweets was a thing too.
Good, yeah. Nice, yeah. But this one was good. This one was from earlier this year on October 25th. Let me bring it up so we can get it right. Yeah. At S Mitchell 17, Sean Mitchell, best ball guy. You guys probably follow him. He's out there posting his opinion on all kinds of things, not just fantasy football life. He's a pretty good follow. We love him. He posted on October 12th, 2025 at 11:03 a.m. I believe it was during the Denver Broncos New York Jets game, one of the worst football games ever. He posted, "I'd rather watch my parents' 1980s homemade porno than watch another second of this Jets atrocious offense."
I've got news for you, Sean. That offense is probably not going to get much better, brother. So you just hit rewind and get ready to watch that bad boy again.
This was great. So I sent them, but I replied and I put, "You sick fuck," with the laughing face, crying, and he replies back with the Pete Weber gif. So, what's your thoughts on that? That's a beauty, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good person, good tweet, and he knew the assignment. Some more secrets outside of school. So, good people, bad tweets started, obviously because I was a slacker, Randy's idea, but we didn't have that name initially. Randy goes, "I want to do something that's like dumb fucks saying stupid shit." And I was like, "Dude, you cannot call the segment that." Like, what? Like I know you don't care, but like, Matt Kelly's gonna be upset if we, get demonetized on YouTube. Like he wants the check, and he's all right. I'll think of something. And then he'd always talk to Tex whenever he texted me, and eventually, he got good people bad tweets, and it ended up being very popular. And I love when people bring it up because that was his baby. Dumb fucks talking stupid shit. I was like, dude, what? What are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely love that part. That's what I'm saying, man. His preparation, his creativity, he was great at what he did, no doubt, man. I'm gonna miss him for sure. All right, so where are we at? Scott Fishbowl. Have you participated in this?
I've been in it. So the first couple of years I was sort of a content creator. I didn't make it, and it sucks Man, you feel like you're on the outside. Eventually, I started doing the podcast with Randy, and Randy would do this trick where he would invite Ryan McDowell on right before the Scott Fish Bowl every time. And if, he would sort of pander to get invites for us. Eventually, I just sort of got on the list and it's cool. But, I've had a couple years where I have done well and other years where I've been the worst player in the world. Like, this year, my team wasn't great. The 2 previous years before that, I made it, I think, to the second or the third round of the playoffs. So I was cooking pretty well. I had hopes of grandeur only to fall apart right at the end. The first time I ever got into the Scott Fish Bowl, so excited. 3 or 4 years in the space, finally got the invite. Hell yes. First overall pick. And I went to Michigan State. I pick Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell sits out. I don't get a single second of the number 1 overall pick. My team wins like 3 games. It was horrible, but it's fun. The things that Scott Fish has done, just unbelievable. Dude's just a genuinely good human being. Have you ever done the Scott Fish Bowl?
I have. I've for the past 3 years, I've done the live Boston draft.
Okay.
That was going to be my next question. Have you been to a live draft?
I have not. But also I've been in Iowa for the last 4 years, and they might have done live drafts prior to that. But I'm guessing once I am back in the Metro Detroit area, I will probably end up going, if I am lucky enough to get a spot, just because it's fun, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott Fish Bowl, that's a fantasy holiday that day, that first draft. And it sucks when people time out or they take, like, I'm a person that I usually don't complain about people taking the time on a slow draft, but like, it's the Scott Fish Bowl, it's the first round, everybody's excited. Can we just do it in the first couple hours? Like, a few years ago, I was in there with a very big name, and I'm not going to mention said name, but they timed out in the second round. And I have lost all respect for this person since that moment. And I see them talking smack on Twitter, and I'm ready to just send the screenshot one time when they say the wrong damn thing to somebody. Because I was flabbergasted that you could time out in the second round of the Scott Fish Bowl when so many people just crave to be a part of that thing.
Right.
Oh, God, it pissed me off.
I agree. So the live drafts, one thing about the live drafts, Scott makes us stop at round 10 because he wants it to be all about socializing and networking and having a good time and engaging with each other. So he tells you to take your time, even though whenever I'm on the clock, I usually get yelled at that I'm nowhere near the draft board and, and it's my turn and I got to hurry up and pick. But he shuts it down at round 10 and then we finish the rest online. And we usually finish it fairly quickly. I mean, the guys in live Boston draft are awesome. Andrew Cooper runs it. He coordinates it with Bob Gilchrist. Our own Kala is involved in setting up a lot of the stuff, and everybody's involved. We raise a ton of money. We get a bunch of Red Sox, Bruins, sports memorabilia. I was going to say paraphernalia. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
And there's like blind bids, silent bids. It's all the money goes to charity. Last year we did over 10,000 at the live event, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
And it's a good time, man. And it's a good time. You get to walk up to the board, put your pick, talk shit, whatever.
Which, listen, I could listen to y'all from Boston talk shit every day of the week. I have this accent where I just slur every word together. It has no character. You guys got character, especially when you're talking shit.
Nice. And how about the Fantasy Football Expo?
Randy and I went, I couldn't tell you when it was, but it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. we just hung out. We didn't get a booth. We didn't plan on doing any Warzone stuff. We hung out with a few people that were like in our Patreon group. I remember I walked in and my man Bama, he had a Dynasty Wars. I'm calling Randy. Randy's not answering. He's an old ass man. And when I got there, he was talking to Scott Fish, which I understand why he was ignoring my phone calls while he was talking to him. But I walk into the hotel, the DoubleTree or whatever it is in Canton, and there's a bazillion just fantasy nerds everywhere. Like I'm in heaven. And I look and my man Bama has a Dynasty Warzone shirt on. So I'm like, well, fuck. And I didn't know what he looked like. So I walked over there and immediately, Jerry. And it was awesome. It was awesome. Now that I will be closer again. So, once I move, likely to do it, because I don't know how far of a drive it is from Ames, Iowa, but it's got to be like 11 or 12 hours or something. And as much as I would love to drive 11 hours to Ohio, I already live in Iowa, so I don't need to see Iowa's twin again. But no, it's a good time. If you have not been, I would absolutely recommend going, just because we're a pretty fun group. And I know we bicker and we argue about prospects, but here's the thing. A lot of us that play this game and care about this game a lot, like it's a larger part of us than we want to give it credit for. And the normal people in our lives don't feel that same way. So to have a like-minded community that you can just talk to, unbelievable. Because like if you're at a bar or in some setting, or you're with your significant other and they have somebody and they mention fantasy football, I will know in 4 seconds if they are on the level that I can talk to them how I want to talk to them, or if they're not. And then I'll know to just not. But when you go to a place like the Expo, all of you are psychopaths. Every single one of you just inject that fantasy and dynasty drug into us, and we just let it take over. And it's wonderful to be with 1,000 other people that are just like that.
It is absolutely a great time. And one thing I took, I got out of the Expo. I went this past year for the first time, and had a great time. We had a booth set up with the sports affiliation on the Sunday. I played the poker tournament. Didn't do much, but I did double up once. But if you didn't win, you didn't do anything. So
yeah.
But had a great time talking to everybody. The forums that they have, where they were talking about the IDP. I don't know if you play IDP, but I played my first IDP league this past year too, and I learned a lot. Just right in that 1 hour segment where they had all the IDP experts up, fielding questions and going over some stuff. So we can really learn a lot if you, even just a regular casual fantasy football player, but you really like it and you want to get better, you feel like you want to play more. Great place to learn, for sure. All right, so one last question about Jerry before we dive into some dynasty stuff. Your football team. You said you weren't that big of a Lions fan. How about now?
I am now. Okay. That sort of, once we fired Matt Millen, sort of circa 2008-ish, and then we draft Matthew Stafford, that was sort of when I became big Lions fan. I watched it, but it never, like, I didn't get sad when we lost. We just assumed we were gonna lose. Like, all of you have watched a Detroit Lions game on Thanksgiving, and you've sat around with your family and the Lions were losing, and you went, "Hey, it's a Thanksgiving." But also, that's my life. So that's how it was every single week for decades. But no, I am a big Lions fan. I can only hope that the window is not closed, because I am 37 years old and I have seen exactly one season as a person that was not pooping in their diapers where we won playoff games in that season. And in that season, We were up by 17 points at halftime in the NFC Championship game and then choked on applesauce. So I hope that is not the pinnacle of my joy that football will give me. I think the team's fine. The problem with the NFL draft this year is like we're not picking super early like we have in the past. Like we're not getting Aiden Hutchinson or Penei Sewell. We're not. We don't need offensive pieces, so we're not going to trade up for JMO, or we're not going to trade back and then trade back up for Jahmyr Gibbs. Like we're going to take a guard, which is not super sexy. We're picking like 17 or 18 or something, which is not a super exciting pick. I trust Brad Holmes. I like Dan Campbell. I think the offense is fine. Defense is going to need a lot of work. I'm excited they're competitive. And if the pieces go right, like if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that the Patriots were going to play in the Super Bowl, I would have said you were higher than giraffe nuts. And so, if things shake out the way that they go, you can be successful. And I think the Lions are absolutely capable of it. It's tough sledding, the Vikings got better. Packers should be pretty good. Bears look like they're much improved, and they were a good team last year. So uphill battle, ladies and gentlemen, uphill battle. But here's to hoping that maybe I will have joy once in my sports life.
So we got to shout out Jamie real quick. He's been killing it in the chat with the comments, the
as
compliments.
Always.
Yeah, much love to James in the chat. I see Tootsie Pop there too, Rachel. Appreciate you all tuning in. And we got a question from Bob Hope. It happens to cover one of the guys, the situation I was going to ask you about later. So we may as well hit this question now. He wants to know if you are taking Jahmyr Gibbs number one over Bijan. And that relates to my question because I was going to ask you about Isaiah Pacheco being there in the Montgomery role. Do you think we have a bounce back season? You think he eats into Jahmyr Gibbs at all? I mean, we know Gibbs averaged over 18 points per game, even with Montgomery there. So we're not worried about, but is the ceiling, is it going to affect the ceiling? Is Pacheco going to be fantasy relevant? What are your thoughts there?
I don't think you'll be able to rely on Isaiah Pacheco from a fantasy standpoint. Like I'm sure there will be weeks when he scores 2 touchdowns in a game, or he has a long breakout run and a touchdown, and he's viable. But I think David Montgomery is better than Isaiah Pacheco, and I like the way Isaiah Pacheco runs because he fights for everything, and you love it as an NFL fan. But as a dynasty and a fantasy player, I don't know that I would rely on it. As a Lions fan, I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is the most talented running back specimen in the league. So I would take Jahmyr Gibbs over Bijan Robinson. And I also think that Brian Robinson is comparable to Isaiah Pacheco in talent-wise, I guess. So I think they're both going to have the same role. I think Bijan and Jahmyr both going to absolutely just pull out their hammers and just lay it on everybody's face every week. So I don't think you can go wrong either way. But listen, got to pick my man Jahmyr.
Nice. I like that. I like the conviction there. All right. So I was going to start with rookie drafts. We got rookie drafts right around the corner. In general, what do you do to prep for rookie drafts? Like, are you studying up on rookie profiles? Do you wait for landing spots? I mean, I'm sure there's drafts that you do before the landing spots. I know there's some leagues that do that. But what's your process going into a rookie draft season?
I only have I do one best ball league that a friend of mine does every single year, and that is the only one that has rookies before the NFL draft. This harkens back to the conversation we had earlier, where I tried a whole bunch of leagues and found out what I didn't like. I didn't like doing those. I'm not a scout. I am not, and I have no desire to gamble. Like we talked about poker earlier. I'm not a great Omaha player. And so I'm not going to, risk drafting a player and then they get picked in the 4th round, then they're useless. Like we go back, I bring up Hakeem Butler a lot. If you've ever listened to the Dynasty Warzone, you know I talk about Hakeem Butler a lot. If we would have taken him, if I would have done the draft prior to the NFL draft, I would have taken him probably 102. And then he went first pick of the 4th round in the NFL draft. And I would have realized that I pissed a whole lot of value. I'm good. I'm good on that. So as far as going into a Dynasty rookie draft, do I have a strategy? It depends on the year. Like, are you going to be able to accumulate 2027 first? Probably not very easily. You haven't been able to do that really since the middle of 2025 because everybody has just continued to just get tingly below the belt about the 2027 draft class. So this year, I think it's, if I have one of those first 6 picks, if I have Jeremiah Love, if I have the first couple of wide receivers, if I have a Kenyon Sadiq, Fernando Mendoza, I need one of those players. I'm cool with keeping it. And if I don't, I'm probably just going to go for a vet that people don't value as a first right now. Because that's the biggest thing for new people in Dynasty that they don't realize or they don't exploit. It's not that they don't realize. They don't exploit it. There's a time to trade your first round picks. There's a time to trade your veterans. And there's not the right time. And not everybody has learned that yet. Right now is the time to trade away your picks that you don't necessarily need. So if I have 109, 110, I have a relatively good team, and there is somebody in your league that has watched YouTube or read analytics about this player, and they are falling in love with tons and tons and tons of guys, and they think it's 15, 16, 20 players deep. And if you look historically, the first round of your Superflex rookie draft, 50% of them are going to have a top 24 season at their position at least once in their career. The other 50% will never have a top 24. So you're looking at a coin flip. So I'll trade, I say this every year, and one day I'm going to be wrong, but it has yet to be wrong. I'm going to trade one of those later picks for Derrick Henry. Because everybody thinks Derrick Henry's 150 years old. He's going to fall off the face of the earth. And you know what? 110 is a lot for a guy who's super old and has run a lot. Here you go. I will add Derrick Henry to my championship roster, and then he's going to drop 50 in the championship game. And Daddy's got your money. But you got my 110, so enjoy that. So that's my strategy sort of this year. A lot of people will tell you to try and trade them for 2027. It's going to be tough to do. You're probably going to have to lose value. Just be smart. Don't commit to a player or a strategy or a position group. What Bruce Lee say? Be like water. You just gotta wing it sort of, because otherwise you'll be like me a couple years ago with damn Hakeem Butler. He was my wide receiver too. He fell to the 4th round. I'm going to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm going to take him at 110 in my home league. That boy never scored a point for my damn team, and I wasted a 1st round pick on him. So just be patient. Think macro strategy. That's the best advice I can give for somebody going into a Dynasty rookie draft.
And what about landing spots? Those are obviously clearly important when you
I would say so, but also you don't want to only assume that they're the best, because this will take us back to Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I was just going to mention
he's the cautionary tale for everybody when it comes to this, because he was somebody that was a borderline end of the 1st round Superflex rookie pick, and then all of a sudden he was 102. And that's, so you don't want to do that. And also we saw, Corey Davis went to the Tennessee Titans 5th overall or something and sucked. And then a few years later, they draft AJ Brown in the 2nd round. And you go, okay, AJ Brown's very talented, but he just ended up in a spot that's horrible and not conducive. And then AJ Brown has been good for 7-8 years, been a wide receiver, perennial wide receiver 1 every single year. So You use it. It's a data point that you can use. It shouldn't be everything, though. It shouldn't, confirm your bias about somebody, and it also shouldn't determine, that the sky is falling chicken little because of a spot. Talented players can overcome bad situations, and bad players cannot thrive in good situations because they're bad.
All right. I like that. That pretty much sums up the rookie draft segment. Excellent stuff there, Jerry. Good.
Thank you.
I put together a handful of players that I wanted your opinion on situations. One was, we'll start with Josh Downs. What's his outlook with Michael Pittman out of the picture? Well, we got Danny Dimes, as of now on schedule to be ready for week 1. Hasn't had a setback yet. Plans to be ready for most of training camp and ready for week 1. So what's your thoughts on this situation, the Colts offense in general?
You know what? I'm gonna flip it back. How do you feel about Josh Downs?
It's hard to say because he's never eclipsed, very few games he's eclipsed the 70% snap share mark. We do know he has had some big games. I rostered him his rookie year. I ended up trading him, but I did roster him his rookie. I played him as a flex, but a lot of the times he disappointed. Definitely some inconsistency there. Alec Pierce as a number 1 wide receiver kind of scares me a little bit. I'm thinking, it's maybe Ty Warren is going to be the guy that benefits the most here. Is probably where I'm getting at with this. But I mean, I could see a little bit of an uptick for Josh Downs, but I think he's still going to come with some inconsistency. That's kind of where I'm at now. But that's why I asked your opinion, because I've been getting mixed. He's in a mixed bag among us fantasy nerds. How we feel about the situation. So
I am not the biggest Josh Downs guy in the world, and I don't know that I could have said it much better than that. I think Alec Pierce got paid like he's the guy there, and Tyler Warren came into the league like a wrecking ball, and it doesn't seem like that is going to change. So Josh Downs could be a good NFL player, and he could be good for the Colts, and he may have some pretty good weeks if you're playing in fantasy or dynasty. I just don't know when they're going to happen. And if I can't predict at least a reasonable, week to week, can I rely on him? And I don't think that I can. He's just I don't know what you traded him for in that league, but I'm gonna guess you won that deal. I'm gonna guess it was probably at least like a second or something. And honestly, I'll take a second, because there's some people, some people love Josh Downs, and I'm just not one of them.
Nice. I think it was part of a 3-way deal that got me a first round pick.
Oh my God.
But there was multiple. I think it was three parts involved. I don't remember exactly what, but
I don't care. I don't care what else you had to. I don't care what other candy bars you had to throw on top of that. That is sold American.
Well, I also rostered Michael Pittman, and I still have Michael Pittman.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, he just went to Pittsburgh, and that brings us into the next one: Michael Pittman, Rico Dowdle in Pittsburgh offense. Do you see Rico Dowdle eating into do you think Jaylen Warren goes back to his old role, or do we still see an actual 50-50 split here? And I mean, do you have any interest in Rico Dowdle?
I mean, if he's cheap, for sure. I think, I think they're both just guys. But Rico Dowdle has shown more in his time, in my opinion, than Jaylen Warren has. But also, Rico Dowdle has just never been sexy in the dynasty world, which has always sort of made him a value. And I think that's even more so the case now. So depending what he costs, I would absolutely love to have Rico Dowdle on my team. Not because I think he's going to win me the league, but in case I have an injury or I have, bipocalypse, or I'm starting in 2 or 3 flexes. Like, yeah, I would absolutely. He removes some of the stress from those hard decisions that you have to make about your roster and when you're doing your starting lineups. Because if you have him, cool. Like, I'm cool. Doesn't get you super excited. As far as Michael Pittman, listen, DK Metcalf is a tight end that you have to start in your wide receiver spot. He's a touchdown dependent tight end
I
in the wide
agree.
receiver spot.
I totally agree with him.
And that sucks because I've loved DK Metcalf for a long time. So as long as that offense can funnel the ball to Michael Pittman, I think he'll be fine. Michael Pittman has been pretty identical to T. Higgins and just has a much worse PR firm. I've said that on the Dynasty Warzone for like the last 3 years, and it's been right every single year for the last 3 years. Everybody loves T. Higgins. Everybody hates Michael Pittman. They both do the same thing. Michael Pittman's cheaper. I'm fine having him. He's sort of the same situation as Rico Dowdle. Like, you don't think he's going to help you win the league, but he can help keep you afloat while your hammers do all of the heavy lifting.
All right. One more player I want to mention, Jonathan Brooks. Chuba Hubbard. That situation there. What's your take on that? You think John Brooks is going to be healthy? Finally.
I mean, listen, I hope, because I definitely have picks that have just been sitting on my IR and my taxi and everything else. So I hope so. I think Hubbard is a good player, good enough player at least that he's going to have a role. But I just need to see Jonathan Brooks do something. Do I think he's going to return value on the first round pick that I had to pick him? Hell no. But I don't need that at this point. I already assumed that pick was lit on fire with Corey Coleman and Darius Geis and every other dumbass pick I've ever made. But if I can get something, I'll take it. Because honestly, if we see a 2 or 3, 4 game stretch in a row where Jonathan Brooks looks pretty good, even if I don't believe in Jonathan Brooks, I can trade him for at least something. I can recruit some of that value depending on my team situation. Because if you have Jonathan Brooks, you probably took him with a first round pick, and he has not been helping your already mediocre ass team that when you took Jonathan Brooks, because he was the first running back in that class, him or Trey Benson, either way, they didn't help you. So your team has probably continued to be dog shit. Let's just be real. So if that's the case, I'm fine shipping that guy off and getting a little something.
Nice. I like that. All right. What do we got? We got about 5 minutes left. Well, I wanted to the importance of handcuffs. Running back, identifying the second, that third or fourth wide receiver on the team, the second or third running back on a team. Give us some details, like what makes a player an attractive handcuff. Give us some details about a player that you pay attention to when you're determining how much value they are as a handcuff.
I don't really care. I don't really care about a handcuff having standalone value. I want somebody like Isaiah Pacheco. If Jahmyr Gibbs goes down, that is a whole giant chunk of the offense that they absolutely need somebody to do something with. And he's going to be the body that's there. The Brian Robinson for Bijan. Those type of guys. And also, I know a lot of people like to pick up other people's handcuffs and go after other people's handcuffs. That's not my strategy. I like having my handcuffs for my guys. Because when my guy gets hurt, I want his little brother to come in here. And so I can at least get something. Like, keep me afloat for a little bit. Because, everybody goes, oh, but if their running backs get hurt and you have their backups, then, you can trade it for them. And that's cool. But also, if my guy gets hurt and I have their backup, I'm shit out of luck in two things, because I can't trade their backup because they don't want him, and my guy is hurt and I don't have any points to get. So that's a strategy I've never really understood. Right. It's been a debate that people have had for a while, but
I think it makes sense in the best ball, because you're wasting a spot. You're wasting a spot of trying to get a guy to hit your lineup at any given week. Whatever. But in Dynasty, I think it makes sense for not just that, but like what happens when the rookie contracts expire and then they go to a different team. Now you get 2 running backs.
There you go.
Like that could mean if you end up hanging on to them for that long too. But it's just Dynasty is a long-term game, so you gotta, even though you're playing in 1 or 2 year windows, you do have to keep like an open mind on what how it could play out long term as well. So,
and that's why analyzing contracts is one of the big gems that people just they don't pay enough attention to, at least newer players, because
right.
it tells you exactly what the team thinks of that player, and it gives you at least a glimpse into about how long they should be dynasty relevant for, or at least it gives you a little bit of hope, which is something, because that's what we're doing. We're just trying to grab as many little crumbs as we can with the information that we get, so that we can try and beat our friends and make them upset and cry and take their money. But I'm not in the locker room. Like I'm not a coach. Like I don't know how much they like players and this and that. So I just have to do with all of the information that I have to try and make the best that I can. And contracts, money talks, bullshit walks. And if the team is showing you how much they're spending on a player, it shows how invested they are in them, and it should at least show you their situation. Sometimes, a player is in a bad situation, gets paid a ton of money, and that hinders them. But at least it's information that I have. I know about what Garrett Wilson should get. It being stuck on the poop ass Jets for the next couple of years. Like, he's not gonna set the world on fire, but he's not gonna be terrible. And that gives me an idea of what his value should be.
I like that. That's excellent advice. Bringing that up, and I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, Chair.
You're good.
This happens at least once a show, so this is what I get for taking a 3-week break. No, 3-week lazy ass is what happened. No,
fair.
Welcome
to my world.
It's a dead part of the season. It's tough to beat the same drum every week. So I like to wait it out and get some new material or whatever.
This is the calm before the storm, because we're gonna get 3 weeks from right now, and all of our lives are going to be rookies, the NFL draft, rookie drafts, and then we're going to hit everything else, and it's just going to be wonderful. It's going to be absolutely the most wonderful time of the year. Oh, God.
Nice. Well, Jerry, we're approaching the 1 hour mark. We know you got to pick up your lovely wife. So appreciate you coming on. This was awesome. Great show. Great chatting with you. Tons of good information. The chat was lit tonight with Jamie in there, keeping it going. Man, I don't know what else to say. Let the peeps know where they can find you before you take off.
Jerryson DWZ on Twitter. Not on there a ton, but honestly, if you DM me, I will probably give you my phone number and we can just bullshit football that way. Because honestly, that's something that Randy did with a lot of people, and I think it is a much more conducive way to do it. And other than that, just try not to make as many mistakes as you can. Or learn from the ones that you have made, because good God, I have made plenty. Just enjoy the draft. Enjoy your rookie drafts. Do whatever makes you happy. You know what I mean, Joe? I mean, if you want to do a startup, if you want to do, you want to have 30 leagues, if you want to have 1 league, don't let any of these mouth breathers out there make you do what you want to do. And if you love a player, take the player, man. You only get 1 chance. This is your team. Do whatever you want with your team. And if it's Hakeem Butler that you pick, at least learn from it in the future about why that's a bad idea. If you're going to screw up your team, don't do it because someone else told you to do it. Because I heard a whole bunch of people tell me Jalen Reagor was good, and I thought that was the dumbest shit I ever heard. And I was at least right about that one. So
People
Joe,
were taking over Justin Jefferson that year, right?
yeah,
I
a
wasn't.
lot.
I wasn't playing Dynasty yet, but when I heard that, I was like, "Whoa!"
Well,
That's
if I'm gonna take a shot at Randy real quick, guess who was a Jalen Rager guy and not a Justin Jefferson guy? That was one of Mom and Dad's big arguments. Got you
nice.
on that one, brother. Joe, I appreciate you having me on, man. It is, it's always tough for me to get back behind the microphone. This is only the third time I've done it after doing it every week for 8 years. I just appreciate it. I mean,
Absolutely, man.
God,
That's why I've been looking for this. I've been looking forward to this one for weeks, man. We couldn't make it happen a few weeks back, but glad we had you tonight. Glad to get you on. We got to ease you back in. You belong in front of that mic, man. You a killer tonight.
I appreciate you, brother. It's just, much appreciated. Everybody in the chat, thank you for just making it enjoyable. It's Jamie, you've been my motherfucking man for a long time. And I'm sorry that I swore so much on this podcast, Joe. I'm just I do it. I'm trashy. I can't help it. I got a potty mouth.
I'm right
just
there
comes
with
out.
you. I'm right
Okay.
there with you.
No.
So,
Love all of you. Thank you. Hell of a show. Let's go.
all right. We're gonna end it with that. Hell of it. Good night, everybody.